Hey everyone, welcome back to another explainer. So grab your imaginary lab coats and goggles because today we're stepping into the secret lab of life. We're going to uncover the hidden rules, the cheat codes, and the magnificent microscopic machinery that makes every living thing on Earth tick. All right, let's dive right into this. Okay, I've got a question for you, and I want you to really think about it. What do you, a tiny microscopic germ floating in the air, and a giant green corn plant growing out in a field all actually have in common? I mean, you look completely different, you eat totally different things, and you live in entirely different ways. But scientists have discovered that deep down, at the microscopic level, you all share a hidden connection. You all follow the exact same secret rules of biology. And today, we're going to crack that code. Here's our top secret mission briefing for today. We have 5 epic science missions to get through. Extracting life's secret recipe, how life actually begins, nature's amazing Lego bricks, sneaky plant survival tricks, and finally, spotting tiny germ invaders. Let's kick things off with mission number 1, extracting life's secret recipe. So every single living thing, including you, has a hidden instruction manual packed inside its cells. It's called DNA, and it tells your body how to grow, what color your eyes should be, basically how to stay alive. And guess what? Here's an incredible recipe scientists use to pull that DNA right out of a plant, like a spinach leaf. And you could practically do this in your kitchen. First, you just mash the plant up. That breaks down the tough plant cell walls. Then you add a little bit of salt and some regular old dish soap. The soap literally bursts the cell membranes wide open, kind of like popping a water balloon. You can even add a few drops of papaya juice because the special enzymes in there chew up the proteins hiding inside the cell. And finally, the magic step. You pour in some freezing cold ethanol, which is a type of alcohol. When that freezing cold alcohol hits the mix, the DNA precipitates. That's really just a fancy science word for turning into a solid that we can actually see. It looks like these white, gooey, stringy threads. You can literally take a glass rod, dip it in, and twirl the DNA right up onto it, just like cotton candy. You are literally looking at the physical instruction manual for life, right there on the end of a stick. No way, right? How cool is that? Moving right along to mission 2, how life actually begins. All right, so now that we know about the DNA instruction manual, let's zoom way, way down into the microscopic world to see where animals actually get their start. We're looking at the special organs that make life possible, the testis and the ovary. Over on the left, the testis is packed with these tiny tube-like factories called seminiferous tubules. That's where special starter cells are made. And on the right, the ovary grows a completely different kind of starter cell, an egg, inside little fluid-filled pockets called Graafian follicles. When these two starter cells eventually meet up, bam, the incredible journey of a brand new animal begins. The very moment those starter cells combine, they form a single cell called a zygote. But it doesn't stay single for long. It starts dividing super fast in this action-packed process called cleavage. One cell becomes 2, 2 become 4, 4 become 8, until it turns into this solid, berry-like ball. But then it does a really neat trick. The cells move around to form a hollow ball with liquid inside, and a special clump of cells gets pushed to one side. This hollow ball is called a blastula. And here's the crazy part. Every animal you've ever seen, from a giant elephant to a tiny mouse, was once a microscopic hollow ball just like this. Now for mission 3, nature's amazing Lego bricks. Okay, you know how you can take a pile of Lego bricks, build a spaceship, and then take those exact same bricks apart to build a castle? Well, over millions of years, nature does the exact same thing. Scientists group these recycled body parts in 2 ways. First up, homologous organs. These are parts that have the exact same family tree, the same origin, but they've been tweaked to do totally different things. Like a passion flower uses its buds to grow curly little tendrils for climbing, but a pomegranate plant uses those exact same buds to grow sharp thorns for protection. Same underlying parts, different uses. Then we have analogous organs. These look different and are built totally differently, but they do the exact same job. Think of a bird's wing made of feathers and bones compared to a bug's wing made of thin membranes. Totally different materials, but both solve the exact same problem: how to fly. And this whole Lego brick idea brings us to a huge concept, first proposed by the famous scientist Charles Darwin: evolution. He called it descent with modification. Evolution is basically an orderly change from one form to another. It's the process where complex organisms slowly change and adapt from simpler forms over a really, really long time. Seeing these homologous and analogous organs, these recycled biological Lego bricks, gives us amazing clues about how all the wildly different plants and animals on Earth evolved from common ancestors. All right, let's sneak on over to Mission 4, Sneaky Plant Survival Tricks. Plants might seem totally quiet and boring, just sitting there in the dirt, but they've actually evolved some brilliant, sneaky tricks to spread their pollen around, a process called pollination. If a flower wants a bird to help out, it grows bright red or orange petals because birds just love those colors, and it fills up with watery nectar for the bird to drink. If it wants a bug, like a bee, it literally grows special petals shaped like airplane landing pads, complete with super sweet nectar. And what if a plant doesn't want to use animals at all? It becomes wind-pollinated. These plants don't even bother with pretty petals. Instead, they grow feathery parts that act like nets to catch the wind, and they make millions of pieces of tiny, dusty pollen that just blow right away in the breeze. Nature is incredibly clever. Time for our final lab mission, spotting tiny germ invaders. Sometimes microscopic villains called pathogens try to sneak into our bodies and make us sick, but scientists use microscopes almost like wanted posters to catch them. Every germ has a disguise or a special trait that gives it away. Take the germ that causes malaria, Plasmodium vivax. It hides right inside a red blood cell and makes itself look like a tiny little ring. Then there's Entamoeba histolytica, this microscopic blob that uses shape-shifting arms called pseudopodia. That literally means fake feet, which it uses to move around. And finally, Ascaris lumbricoides, which actually isn't a single cell at all, but a sneaky roundworm that causes some serious tummy trouble. By knowing exactly what shapes to look for, doctors can spot the bad guys and help us get better. As we wrap up our top secret lab work today, I want you to remember this really powerful quote from our briefing files. Life on Earth is extremely diverse. In spite of great diversity, different types of organisms exhibit some common characters. Basically, whether you're spooling the gooey DNA of a spinach leaf, looking at the hollow blastula of a brand new animal, seeing nature recycle its Lego bricks, or spotting the ring shape of a tiny germ, you are seeing the shared rules of life in action. You've officially unlocked the cheat codes to the natural world. You understand how life starts, how it adapts, and how it survives. So, here is my final question for you. Now that you know the secret rules of life, what scientific mysteries are you going to discover right in your very own backyard? Keep your eyes open, keep asking questions, and never stop exploring, junior scientists. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next adventure.
Hey there, I am so excited you're joining me for this explainer today because, well, we're going undercover. Welcome to the Biology Detective Agency. Grab your magnifying glasses and go ahead and button up your lab coats, junior biologists, because we are going on a top-secret laboratory adventure to explore the hidden building blocks of life. Here's our official top-secret lab mission checklist. We've got 5 things on the docket today. 1. Welcome to Biology Lab. 2. Zooming in on plants. 3. The cells inside us. 4. Animal shapes and sizes. And 5. Testing our body's waste. Let's get right to work.
So, let's kick things right off with Phase 1. Welcome to Biology Lab. Think of this as your very first day as a science detective.
Now, the absolutely crucial point we need to start with is a really big question. Seriously, what are you really made of? I want you to imagine just for a second that you could zoom in super close on your own hand, or maybe a green leaf outside, or even your pet dog. If you zoomed in enough, you wouldn't just see skin or green stuff. No way. You would actually see tiny, invisible puzzle pieces that literally build every single living creature on planet Earth. And that brings us to our very first detective vocabulary word for the day, anatomy. Anatomy is basically the study of the internal structures and all those hidden parts of living bodies. Now, to actually see these hidden parts, scientists use a special skill called anatomical microtechnique. I know, right? Huge word, but it basically just means taking a super thin slice of life so we can actually see how it works from the inside out.
All right, moving right along to Phase 2 of our mission, zooming in on plants. It's time to uncover some green secrets and investigate the hidden plumbing inside stems, roots, and leaves. So, to make the invisible visible, we've got to prepare our samples, right? It's actually a super thrilling process making a plant slide. First, use a soft piece of plant material called pith. This basically holds your stem steady so you can carefully cut a really thin slice. Next, you add a special red paint called safranin. This red dye acts kind of like a magic revealer, making all those hidden structures pop out in bright color so we can finally see them. And finally, you trap that thin slice under a tiny glass cover with just a drop of clear liquid called glycerine. That keeps the plant nice and wet for our microscope. Once we actually look through the microscope, those stained samples start giving us clues to tell different plants apart. Take monocots, like the corn you might eat for dinner, and dicots, like those really tall sunflowers. I mean, they look totally different on the outside, right? But when we look at our slides, we see their inside plumbing. What scientists actually call vascular bundles is arranged totally differently too. It's honestly like finding a secret fingerprint just for plants. Okay, plants are checked off. Now we're transitioning to mission stage 3, the cells inside us. We are now shrinking down to explore human building blocks.
You know, your body isn't just one big blob, right? It's actually made up of 4 superhero teams of cells, which we call tissues. First up, we have the epithelial tissue. Think of them as the shields, basically protecting your skin and the inside of your mouth. Then there's connective tissue. That's the glue. Think your bones and your blood literally holding your whole body together. Next are muscular tissues, the movers, that contract so you can run around, jump, and play. And finally, nervous tissue. These are the messengers in your brain that send super fast, zippy signals all over your body so you can think and feel.
Okay, let's dive into a really cool experiment so you can see this for yourself. We're going to find your very own cheek cells, which are part of your shield team. First, you gently scrape the inside of your cheek with a clean toothpick. Don't worry, it doesn't hurt at all. Then you spread that invisible glob onto a glass slide with just a little drop of salty water. Next, you add a special blue dye called methylene blue, pop it under the microscope, and boom, you are staring face to face with your very own superhero cells. Moving right along to Mission Objective 4, Animal Shapes and Sizes. We're taking a step back from the super tiny cells to look at how whole animals are grouped by their wild, weird, and wonderful external features. Just look at this totally alien-looking blob. This is the amazing, shape-shifting amoeba. Believe it or not, it's actually a single-celled animal. It's so incredibly tiny and strange that under a light microscope, it just looks like a crawling splat of purple jelly. But get this, that jelly shape is exactly how it moves around and gobbles up its food. Or take a look at the wild shapes you can find swimming in the water. Meet the hydra. It has these really long, cool, multi-tentacles that it uses to catch its food. Biologists actually group these bizarre aquatic creatures based on these wild shapes, which they call morphological features, because it tells us exactly how they hunt and survive out in their environment.
Being a science detective isn't just about the microscopic stuff. It means looking closely at bigger animals too. Take frogs, for example. If you're inspecting a frog model in the lab, you have to really look for specific clues. Do they have webbed digits on their feet? Well, that means they are perfectly adapted for swimming in ponds. Or maybe you spot these special bumpy things called nuptial pads on their thumbs? That is a secret clue that tells you for sure it's a male frog. Every single shape has a special purpose. All right, detective team, it is time for our final, slightly gross, but absolutely fascinating mission phase, testing our body's waste. Let's look at some chemical clues.
So, when our superhero cells process the food we eat, they create trash that basically needs to be taken out of the body. One of the main waste products is called urea. It's this invisible, nitrogen-packed waste that our bodies desperately need to flush out, and it travels right out of us in our urine. Yep, our pee. To find this invisible trash, detectives use some literal magic chemistry called the urease test. First, you add a special enzyme called urease to the urine sample. This breaks the urea down into a chemical called ammonia. Then, when you add a special indicator liquid called phenol red, it reacts with the ammonia and changes the whole sample from plain yellow to a bright, vibrant pink. Literally, if it turns pink, you have proved the invisible urea is hiding inside. And there are actually even more wild ways scientists test for waste, like the Biuret test, where you heat up the sample with some copper chemicals, and if urea is in there, it turns a really cool violet or pink color. Or there's the sodium hyperbromide test. This one is awesome because when you mix it, you watch for something called brisk effervescence, which is just a fancy science way of saying it creates tons of fizzing, bubbling nitrogen gas right in your test tube. I mean, science is basically magic that is real. Wow, what an amazing top-secret adventure we've had today. We've gone from slicing up plants to looking at our very own superhero cells, to investigating frogs, and even testing for fizzing waste. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Next time you look at a green leaf, or a frog hopping by, or even your own reflection in a mirror, what hidden microscopic worlds will you imagine? Keep your detective eyes open, always stay curious, and keep looking deeper into the amazing biological world around you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, junior biologist. Catch you next time.